Thank you, thank you, thank you. This tea is hot over here. This tea is hot over here. Let's go. This tea is hot over here. What's happening? What's popping? What's really going on? I ain't seen nothing like this in all my life. A presidential funeral and Trump was not our Vance. RJD. Ooh, what? I mean, so they... Now, let me say this. Oh, Bubba wasn't there. Bubba say he had a prior engagement. Okay. And President Barack Obama wasn't there. But we gonna hear from him. What's up, everybody? Hey, Dave. But they got invited. Let me say that. You understand? President, all the former presidents here that's alive and well attended. That did not have a prior engagement. But there was a president and a vice president that was intentionally barred. Special instructions, don't let neither one of their asses in. Oh, how embarrassing is that? And then on top of that, it was a Republican, prior Republican presidential funeral. And they said, them two can't come. They don't want no parts of it. When I tell y'all, they done dropped up all hands off and let him spiral out of control. Let the sniper hit and for real this time. Yeah, no stunt, no publicity stunt. It's gonna hit and it ain't gonna miss. Don't nobody stop it. You know how he kind of did with Diddy? That's what they doing to him. Let's listen to this. And yeah, he was, I'm gonna let it play through. And then we leave here. We're gonna listen to President Obama explain to us why this is just, this is just the worst ever. Very unpresidential, unorthodox. To be shunned. Your presence is not welcome. Don't you bring your ass up in here. We gonna put your ass out. Try us if you want to. Oh my God. Hey, Randolph. Ooh-wee. I know he mad. Somebody done got cussed out 2 or 3 times tonight. This was today. Trump and Vance left out. Oh, they came? Oh, they were left out. They were left out. Oh, somebody could read that the wrong way. The Cheney family funeral snub. Trump and Vance left out. Ooh-wee. We ain't never seen white folk act like this. Y'all ever seen white folk act like this? They say he come up and know we gonna whoop his ass. Let's go.
On a cold Thursday morning in Washington, D.C., the National Cathedral, home to some of America's most solemn state farewells, witnessed a funeral that felt like the end of an era. Dick Cheney, one of the most polarizing vice presidents in modern history, once nicknamed Darth Vader, was laid to rest. But even in death, Cheney managed to make a political statement. Because two people were not invited. Not President Donald Trump, and not Vice President J.D. Vance.
They weren't even invited.
A White House official confirmed it bluntly. They were left off the list. Inside the cathedral, you could see the old Republican establishment reassembled like a time capsule. George W. Bush, Cheney's former boss, delivered the eulogy. No mention of past power struggles, no Iraq-era tension, no West Wing infighting. Just a simple line. They don't come any better than Dick Cheney.
I wish more Americans got to know Dick Cheney the way the folks in Casper, Cody, and Laramie got to know him. Smart and polished.
He got a wig. Oh, he didn't know his wig had
courteous and
moved.
approachable, seeing everyone as an equal.
Lord, Bush. Oh my God. Laura. Let me take this earpiece out of my ear. Laura. Is that his wife's name? Why did y'all not tell this man his wig blew back? I am disappointed in his wife for not letting her husband. She should have ran up there like one of them Madea plays when Mr. Brown wanted to sing that song and ran up and asked for an A and B selection and let her husband know his wig had flew back. I mean, oh my God. Hey, Lovey Star. Hey, Paula. Hey, Spark. Baby, I gotta take my spectacles off, my Blu-rays off, baby. Am I seeing this shit right? Look at that hot. No, that's a wig. Yeah. How you gonna spray the back and not spray the front? Oh, hell to the no. What, come on with me. To the no. Hell to the no. To the no. You can see the side. Oh, nah, boo. He didn't come in like that. It must have been a windy. It was a cold and windy night. Y'all been married too long, baby. Ain't no way in the world you were supposed to put that church pointing finger up and say, excuse me, and just go into his ear, baby. Turn around, pull your hair wig forward. Just pull it forward. Like count, like 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, yeah. Count to 1, 2, 3. You know, and then turn around and just go on like ain't nothing happened. And then kiss him on his jaw, you know. And go sit down. I know good and damn well you didn't leave him up here this whole time with that hair wig way back there, Lord. And I don't believe he came like that, cause a little spray paint would have covered it. See, this is what happens when you don't have a good barber in the hood. Spray that out and put and draw your little white lines and shit. Oh, it's a funeral. Oh, shh. Oh my God. Now I gotta act like I didn't see this. Sweet Jesus. What in the world is going on with these white people?
Gentleman by nature and a true man of the West. Dick was funny and easygoing in a style that his public
now that's a wig.
caught up with.
That's a wig. That's a side part wig. I saw it. I saw it. I saw it for myself. He got a side part over there. Hey, he got a side part. AunTeaFee, right here. Right there. He needs to, just come here. Just, oh my God. I just can't believe they let him stand up there like that. I am offended. I ain't gonna even lie. I can't hear nothing he say for looking at this wig. And Lord, he look like his daddy. Yeah, bless him. Come on, let's go. The Lord.
Dick was funny and easygoing in a
Your
style
wig
that
is
his
too.
public image never caught up with. Though we can all agree he wasn't your standard issue politician. If any voters came hoping for a kind word and a hug, they'd have to settle for the kind word. But you can't question the appeal of the only person from America's Mountain West ever elected to national office. On that score, history should record that I chose my vice president not once, but twice.
Lord
In
have mercy.
2004, he offered to step aside in case I wanted to replace him. I thought
they
about
was
it for a
beefing.
while, but after 4 years of seeing how he treated people, how he carried responsibility,
How he treated
how he
people.
handled pressure and took the hits, I arrived back at the conclusion that they do not come any better than Dick Cheney.
In the front pews sat a rare bipartisan row: Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, George W. Bush, Mike Pence, Al Gore, Dan Quayle, Nancy Pelosi, Chief Justice John Roberts. A roll call of Washington's institutional memory. Noticeably missing among former presidents were Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, with Clinton citing a scheduling conflict. But the biggest headline wasn't who attended, it was who pointedly did not. Trump and J.D. Vance. To Washington insiders, no surprise. The Cheneys and Trump world have been at war for years. Liz Cheney led the January 6th committee, became the GOP's most outspoken Trump critic, and lost her seat because she refused to back down. Trump endorsed her primary challenger. He mocked her relentlessly. He declared that the Cheney political dynasty was dead. So on the ultimate political stage of legacy and symbolism, the Cheneys answered back. By keeping Trump and Vance out of the cathedral, Cheney's world was sending a message louder than any eulogy. We do not recognize your leadership, not even in death. Dick Cheney was a giant in Republican politics long before he became vice president. He joined the Nixon administration at 28, became the youngest White House chief of staff at 34, spent a decade in Congress, rising to House Minority Whip, served as defense secretary under George H.W. Bush during the Gulf War, became George W. Bush's VP, helping shape America's response to 9/11. You can love him,
That was
him, or
planned.
disagree with every decision he made,
That
but
they
you cannot
orchestrated.
deny this. Cheney
Hey,
shaped
Natural
American
Daughters.
power for half a century.
That they
The
orchestrated.
emotional center of the service came from Liz Cheney. Without naming Trump, she delivered what felt like both a tribute and a constitutional warning. She said her father taught her that public
A
service came before
constitutional
party,
warning.
and that the Constitution outweighs political loyalty.
Though he was inspired to service by President Kennedy, Dick Cheney became a Republican. But he knew that bonds of party must always yield to the single bond we share as Americans. For him, a choice between defense of the Constitution and defense of your political party was no choice at all. When he was vice president, he wrote in this letter to all of his grandchildren, Dick Cheney became a Republican, but he knew that bonds of party must always yield to the single bond we share as Americans. For him, A choice between defense of the Constitution and defense of your political party was no choice at all. When he was vice president, he wrote in this letter to all of his grandchildren, "As you grow, you will come to understand the sacrifices that each generation makes to preserve freedom and democracy for future generations. And you will assume the important responsibilities of citizens in our society. I ask of you as my grandchildren what I asked of my daughters, that you always strive in your lives to do what is right."
Perhaps the clearest sign of how far Cheney had drifted from the modern GOP came not at his funeral, but last year. Both Dick and Liz Cheney had endorsed Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election.
Bam. Wow. They knew what was up. All of them knew. They tried to tell us. As hard as Dick Cheney was on George W. Bush, he even offered to step down so that you or he could select someone else in his character and principles. Love for the people stood out more than their disagreements. And when it came down, and that was as a Republican, and when it came down to vote for someone to stand against him, he backed Kamala, a female, a black one. Dick Cheney knew what we didn't. Well, I knew. Whoever voted for him obviously didn't. I told y'all it was a lot of white folk. That's how they know it was rigged. They know it was rigged. And then Liz Cheney. They voted for Kamala. That spoke volumes. Let's go. And I'm telling you, for him to be at odds, that means he was a tough cookie. He was a tough cookie. But he still knew that Trump wasn't it.
GOP came not at his funeral, but last year. Both Dick and Liz Cheney had endorsed Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. A Republican father-daughter duo endorsing a Democratic nominee for president in a race against Donald Trump.
Ooh-wee.
On that cold Washington morning,
Ooh-wee.
the National Cathedral echoed with hymns, tributes, and an unmistakable silence. Because sometimes, the loudest message in politics is who's not in the room.
Trump and Vance was not invited. Ooh, let's hear what President Obama had to say. Y'all please hit the like button. It ain't but a few of us in here that don't matter. Please hit the like button. Ooh, how embarrassing. How embarrassing. He is not. He. Come on. Let me let President Obama tell us.
Constitution.
Maybe I can understand.
Shopping for tires
a
used
little
to really
better.
rub me the wrong way. Guys, before
Woo-wee.
I chose mobile installation.
I'm telling you, it's stuff
There
I
is a
ain't.
silence that falls over.
I'm telling y'all, it's stuff I'm seeing right now I ain't never seen before. I ain't never in my life seen before. Let's go.
For Washington, when the old guard gathers a heavy, solemn quiet that usually signals a moment of unity, of putting country over party. Today at the National Cathedral,
Country
the
over
bells
party.
toll for former Vice President Dick Cheney, a man who shaped history in ways that are still being debated today. But before we step into that cathedral, look at the faces in the pews. I need to ask you to do something important for me. Right now, please hit that subscribe button, and more importantly, become a member. Tooth and nail against each other for decades, all sitting together in Al Gore and Dan Quayle, Democrats, shoulder. You saw former President George W. Bush, who gave the eulogy. You saw President Joe Biden. You saw former Vice Presidents Mike Pence, Al Gore, and Dan Quayle, Democrats and Republicans. People who have fought tooth and nail against each other for decades, all sitting together in respect. But if you look for the man who currently holds the highest office in the land, if you look for President Donald Trump, you saw only an empty space. Reports confirm that the sitting president of the United States and his Vice President J.D. Vance were excluded. They were not invited. Let that sink in for a moment. It is unheard of in modern history for a sitting president to be deliberately left out of a state funeral for a former vice president.
It's unheard of,
Reports
y'all.
confirm that the sitting president of the United States and his vice president J.D. Vance were excluded. They were not invited. Let that sink in for a moment. It is unheard of in modern history for a sitting president to be deliberately left out of a state funeral for a former vice president. This wasn't an oversight. This was a message. It was a line drawn in the sand by the Cheney family and by extension, the entire establishment of American leadership. When you have Mike Pence sitting there, Donald Trump's own former vice president, honoring a man like Cheney, while the current president sits at the White House excluded, it tells you that something has fundamentally broken in the way our government relates to itself. This exclusion carries a symbolic weight that is impossible to ignore. It's not just about a funeral list. It is about decency. It is about the fact that for the first time we have leadership in the White House.
Hey,
It's
Dorothy.
viewed by the old
Hey,
guard, by the
Will.
people who know the weight of that office best, as incompatible with the solemnity of our traditions. Dick Cheney was a fierce partisan. He was a man of strong, often controversial convictions, but the fact that his family felt they could not have the current president to pay respects tells us that we have drifted into dangerous territory. To my fellow Americans watching this, you have to ask yourself, is this who we want to be? A nation where the current leader is so divisive, so at odds with the basic decorum of the office, that he cannot break bread or bow his head with his predecessors. We deserve better than this. We deserve a leadership that commands respect, not just from a base, but from those who have walked the path before them. This snub is a signal that the unity of the Republican Party, and perhaps the unity of our political class, has reached a breaking point. But to understand how we got here and why this specific empty seat matters so much, we have to look at the feud that started it all. To really understand the silence of that empty seat, you have to look at the noise that preceded it. You have to look at the war, and I don't use that word lightly, between Donald Trump and the Cheney family. This wasn't just a political disagreement about tax rates or foreign policy. This was personal, and it was fundamental. We all watched as Liz
It was
Cheney,
intentional.
Dick Cheney's daughter, put her entire political career on the line to stand up against what she saw as a threat to the Constitution. She lost her seat in Congress because she refused to bend the knee to the current president. And Donald Trump celebrated that loss. He mocked it. He thought he had won the battle for the soul of his party. But today, inside the quiet walls of that cathedral, we saw that while he might have won a primary He has lost the respect of the people who built the very party he claims to lead. Dick Cheney was a man who believed in the institutions of American power. He believed in the strength of the presidency. For his family to say to the current occupant of that office, "You are not welcome here," is a historic rebuke. It tells us that in the eyes of history, character still counts.
Yep.
It tells us that how you treat people, how you respect the rule of law, and how you conduct yourself when the cameras aren't rolling actually matters. I sat across the aisle from Dick Cheney on many issues. We disagreed on the Iraq War. We disagreed on interrogation techniques. We disagreed on the size and role of government. Those were fierce, heavy arguments. But I never doubted that he was operating within the framework of our democracy. I never doubted that he was a serious man doing what he thought was best for the country, even if I thought he was wrong. What we are seeing now with Donald Trump is something different.
Yep.
We are seeing a leadership style that demands total submission, and if you don't give it, you are cast out. But the irony is, by trying to cast everyone else out, the president has isolated himself. Americans look at the image of that funeral again. You see continuity, you see a line stretching from George H.W. Bush's era through Clinton, through W., through my time, and through Biden. There is a thread of shared values there. It is fraying, yes, but it is holding. Donald Trump has taken a pair of scissors to that thread. He has positioned himself outside of the American story, trying to write his own version where only he matters. And when a leader makes it all about himself, he forgets about you. He forgets that his job is to be a steward of the house, not the owner of it. This isolation isn't just sad for him. It is dangerous for us. A president who cannot pick up the phone, talk to the elders of his own party, a president who is unwelcome at the solemn occasions of state, is a president who is operating without a map. He is flying blind, guided only by his own grievances. And as we peel back the layers of this day, we have to look at the man sitting right beside him in that exclusion vice president, J.D. Vance. Because if Trump is the architect of this isolation, Vance is the inheritor of it. And his absence speaks volumes about the future we are heading toward if we don't change course. When we talk about J.D. Vance, we are talking about a different kind of tragedy than the one we see with Donald Trump. J.D. Vance is a young man. He is a Marine. He is an author who wrote a book that many of us read to try and understand the struggles of the working class in this country. I read it and I saw a man who was wrestling with the hard truths of poverty and addiction in America. He was someone who seemed poised to bridge the divide, to explain the pain of the Rust Belt to the power brokers in Washington, but look at where he was today. Or rather, where he wasn't. He was not in that cathedral. He was on the outside, looking in, standing next to a president who demands loyalty above all else, even above the dignity of the office. Mm-hmm. The exclusion of Vice President Vance is perhaps even more telling than the exclusion of Trump. It signals that the old guard of the Republican Party sees no future in the direction Vance has chosen. Remember, there was a time when Vance called Donald Trump reprehensible. There was a time when he warned against exactly the kind of politics we are seeing now. But the allure of power is a strong drug.
They act like it's a game, so he just dropped all his principles.
He had to swallow those words. He had to bend the knee, and today, the Cheney family and the assembled dignitaries sent a silent message back. You can trade your principles for power, but you cannot trade them for respect. This matters to you, the American people, because the vice president is always a heartbeat away from the biggest job on earth. You deserve a vice president who can walk into any room in the world, whether it is a summit of allies or a funeral of a statesman, and be welcomed. You deserve a leader who is viewed as serious and steady. When our vice president is barred from a gathering of all living presidents, it diminishes the standing of our country. It makes us look small. It makes our government look like a house divided against itself, incapable of the basic manners that hold a society together. Mike Pence was there today. Think about that. Donald Trump's former vice president, the man who served loyally right up until the moment the Constitution was threatened, was welcomed with open arms. He sat there with the Bushes and the Clintons. That visual contrast between Pence in the pew, Vance in the cold, is the story of the modern Republican Party. One chose the Constitution and paid a heavy political price for it. The other chose the man and gained a title, but lost his seat.
David, you don't make no
at the table of
sense.
history. We are watching the shrinking of the
David,
American.
what you said didn't make no sense. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know nothing about deep states. We talking about respect. You talking about bull crap. You sure you're in the right place? I mean, we talking about Republican president. What are you talking about? You just talking. That's why I cannot process you. Any Trump supporter, you don't make sense. You just don't make sense. There is no logic to what you say. You're just talking. He got snubbed. He got left out. He got I was going to say disrespected, but they just know he is beneath them, and they are Republicans. So what are you talking about? So what are you talking about? I'm going to go ahead and remove your comment because it don't make sense, and I don't like foolishness. And if you put something else that don't make sense, I'm going to remove you, okay? Okay, just sit back and hush. Shh, be quiet. Let a real president talk.
Presidency. We are watching it become a club of one or two, isolated from the traditions that gave it weight.
One thing is for sure, dumb David. If this man right here run again, I bet you it'll be a landslide win. I bet you that. I bet you that. So sit back and enjoy the show and listen.
And you have to wonder if they cannot show up to honor the dead because of petty feuds and burnt bridges. How can they possibly ask us to unite as
Go
a
in
country
any room.
to face the challenges of the living? The economy, the world stage, the health of our families, these things require broad coalitions. They require shaking hands with people you don't agree with. Trump and Vance have shown they can't do that.
It takes
But
a
the
grown,
story gets
mature
even
person.
darker when we look at how the American people
He can't
are
do it.
reacting to this split, because the anger isn't just in Washington. It is spilling out into our streets and our living rooms. Step away from the stone pillars of the cathedral for a moment and come out here into the real America. Walk through the diners in Ohio, the church halls in South Carolina, the community centers in Chicago, because while the silence in Washington was deafening, the noise out here in the country is overwhelming. The reaction to this exclusion to the President of the United States being told he is not welcome has torn the bandage off a wound that has been festering
You're not
for
welcome.
years. And I know you feel it. I know you feel that tension when you talk to your neighbors or when you sit down for a holiday meal. Suddenly, the air gets tight because someone mentions the news. For a large part of this country, the people who support Donald Trump, this exclusion feels like a slap in the face. And I want to speak
Like
to
this?
that feeling for a second.
A slap like that?
If you support him, you
Was it a slap like that? Ooh, that hurt. Ooh, baby, that side of that face is red, baby, because my hand. Ooh, that's what you call a good slap. Ooh, knocked that ass over, didn't it?
step away from
I'm
the
sorry.
stone pillars
Ooh,
of the
baby, let me
cathedral for
tell
a
you, that was a
moment
good
and come
pop,
out
wasn't
here
it?
into the real
I done
America.
cut the volume off, the phone fell over, took the camera turned around, all that good stuff. Baby. Oh. If that was a real one, something would be loose. I just fixed it. Can y'all hear me now? That was a slap. That was a pop goes the weasel, wasn't it? I ain't gonna heavy handed. Can y'all hear me now? Baby. It was when I popped my hand and the back part of it just knocked all that over.
It is spilling out into our streets and our living rooms. Step away from the stone
Hey,
pillars
Poppy
of the
J.
cathedral for a moment and come out here into the real America. Walk through the diners in Ohio, the church halls in South Carolina, the community centers in Chicago. Because other Americans, this moment brings a heavy sense of vindication mixed with deep sadness. They look at that empty seat and they don't see a victim. They see consequences. They see a man who has spent years tearing down every norm, insulting every opponent, and questioning the very foundations of our elections, finally facing the reality that you cannot burn bridges expected to be carried across the water. They see the old guard drawing a line that says, enough. This is the tragedy we are living in. We are looking at the same picture and seeing two completely different realities. And the man at the top, the man who should be bridging that gap, is the one holding the chisel, driving the wedge deeper. A president's job, above all else, is to be the narrator-in-chief of the American story, to remind us that what binds us together is stronger than what pulls us apart. But Donald Trump has rewritten the script. In his story, there is no us. There is only him and his enemies. And when you view the world through that lens, a funeral isn't a moment to pay respects. It becomes just another grievance, just another battleground. We deserve better than a leader who thrives on this friction. We deserve a president who understands that showing up matters even for people you didn't get along with. I went to funerals for people who spent their careers trying to dismantle my policies. Why? Because the office of the president is bigger than the person holding it. It represents the continuity of the nation. When Trump is excluded, it is not just Donald Trump who is absent, it is the representation of the American people that is missing from that room. And that hurts us all. It weakens our standing. It makes us look like a broken family that can't stop fighting, even when standing over a grave. And as we look at this broken family, we have to talk about what this means for the Republican Party itself, because the party of Lincoln and Reagan is fracturing before our very eyes. You know, throughout our history, this country has relied on a functioning two-party system. It's like the two wings of a bird. You might favor the left or the right, but you need both to fly straight. The Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, of Eisenhower, of Reagan, has always been a home for robust debate. It was a party that valued order, tradition, and a strong defense of American values abroad. I spent 8 years in the White House sparring with them. We fought over budgets, we fought over health care, we fought over the direction of the Supreme Court. But even in the heat of those battles, there was a recognition that we were all playing by the same rules. We were all Americans first. What we witnessed with this funeral, with the stark absence of Donald Trump, Vance is the visible fracturing of that wing. We are watching the Republican Party split into two distinct entities that no longer recognize one another. Inside the cathedral, you had the establishment.
Here, in the old city of Jerusalem, every step is a journey through time.
The people who believe in governance, in alliances, in the slow, hard work of democracy. Outside, you have the MAGA movement, led by a man who sees those traditions not as pillars to uphold, but as obstacles to crush. The exclusion of the sitting president from the funeral of a former vice president is the old guard screaming at the top of their lungs that this new version of the party is illegitimate. This is a dangerous moment for our democracy when a major political party is at war with its own history. It creates instability that touches every single one of us. You cannot govern a country this complex when you are busy purging anyone who doesn't show absolute fealty to one man. Dick Cheney was a man who wielded immense power, and he did it within the system by excluding Trump. His family was making a statement that the current leadership has stepped outside that system. They are telling us that Trump's behavior, the chaotic late night posts, the threats against enemies, the disregard for the truth, has disqualified him from the table. And I want you to think about what this means for the future. Who is left to mentor the next generation of conservative leaders?
Not him.
If the elders are pushed out, J.D. Vance is young, bright, and ambitious. But instead of learning from the statesmen of his party, instead of sitting in that pew and absorbing the weight of history, he is standing outside with Trump, learning that the only thing that matters is grievance. He is being taught that you don't need to earn respect. You just need to demand attention. That is a tragedy for the conservative movement. And it is a loss for the country. We need a healthy Republican Party. We need a party that can challenge ideas with better ideas, not with insults and isolation.
Right.
We deserve leaders who understand that they are temporary occupants of these offices. The office of the presidency was here before Donald Trump, and it will be here after him. But every time he ignores a tradition, every time he burns a bridge with the past, he chips away at the marble. He weakens the foundation. And the silence from the White House regarding this funeral, the refusal to show humility or grace in the face of this exclusion, shows that he puts his own ego above the continuity of our government.
That's why I can't stroke them egos.
This is just about Washington insiders. You're missing the bigger picture. This rod at the top is trickling down affecting how the rest of the world sees us, and that is where the real danger lies. I want you to zoom out for a minute, leave Washington, leave the arguments at the dinner table, and cross the oceans. When I was president, I spent a lot of time looking into the eyes of world leaders, allies, and adversaries alike.
He just don't have no respect
with absolute
for
certainty.
nothing. He don't even respect his own self. He's a predator.
Our trade deals, they watch our rituals, they watch how we treat each other. They look for signs of stability, because the stability of the United States is the bedrock of the global order. And when they looked at the National Cathedral today, they saw a crack in that foundation. Imagine being a leader in Europe, or
they saw that he was on Epstein Island all by himself. They left him to be with the one he loved. And that was Epstein. Yeah. That's who he protected. That's who he has betrayed this country for. And now he can go play with himself. He can go to Epstein Island and reminisce on the way things used to be. Boy, oh boy. See, that's what he's saying in his head. Did we have fun? We had a lot in common. He didn't have no sense, and I didn't either. He had Peter problems, and I do too. Oh my God. They say he had a lot of charm, and I'm sure that's what they say about me. He was my only friend. Why, oh, why did he try to betray me? I know he said I betrayed him, but I was just doing business. And when you're doing business, you ain't supposed to take it personal. Shit, that's a lie. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. If he just would have let me have my way, things would have not turned out the way it did. I know he didn't have a funeral, so I came to Epstein Island to give his eulogy. I ain't missing no funeral today. I'm gonna have my own. For my only friend in life, I let him slip away. My only friend in life, I turn my back the other way. Jeffrey Epstein, I miss you today. AunTeaFee, huh? Yo, that's what he said. That's what he was singing today on Epstein Island, all by his lonely self, trying to figure out how things turned the way it's turned, and the whole party turned away from me. Oh Lord, he was the reason why people say that I don't have morals or respect for no one, not even myself. If I would not have betrayed him, he might be here today. Baby, don't make me go into Simples. You was about to get one of my better sermons. I started singing with it. Epstein. Epstein. Why am I gonna be here to take these charges by myself. I need ye to hear today to speak for me so they can turn the other way. Oh my God, God. Baby, that's what you gonna need. You gonna need to say, oh my Lord, I think I need you. If ever I needed the Lord before, he sure do need him now. If ever he needed the Lord before, he sure do need him now. Y'all gonna make me step. Do that pastor step. Yeah, that's it. If ever you needed the Lord before, you sure do need him now. Because he the only one that's gonna be able to save you from this pit of hell that you don't put your own self in. You done went too far. And only person that can help you, save you, because you're going to have to be punished for your sins. But he can. I'm talking about on earth. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. If you ain't blaspheming against the Holy Spirit. Yeah, this is your come to Jesus. This is going to be your come to Jesus. This is going to be his every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess that he is God. Oh yeah, it's shameful today. President Barack, rest in peace, Cheney. Yeah, but Trump gonna have to have a come to Jesus moment. He feeling the heat. Yeah, he feeling the heat. He way down in there. It's the lake of fire, right? Before he goes to the pit of hell. Yeah. Y'all forgot that hell has a resting place. It's called the pit of fire. You go to the pit of fire first before the whole lake opens up on your ass. Can you imagine burning in a lake of fire? You smile now, but you're going to be screaming, crying later. You're going to want the tears to bring you some moisture. Yes, indeed. Yeah, this is your come to Jesus. We gonna see. Yeah, we gonna see if you gonna ask God to forgive you for your sins. All of them. He said you're going to confess them. You're going to have to own them. You're going to have to acknowledge him. Or you're going to be by yourself again. Yeah, today was a lonely day for you. Diaper rash ass. Yeah. Let me move over here before I go, because y'all playing with my likes. I don't care if it's 10 people in here. I need them 10 likes. You understand? Let me move over here. Oh, yeah, I was finna go in. I was finna go. I had rose up on myself. You know how somebody sitting down and then they start feeling what they saying and then they rise up. I was rising up on myself. I kind of went in somewhere, Lord. I was like, Lord, yeah, he go over there to Epstein Island and go talk to your buddy, cause him the reason why you all by yourself. And then look at her. Look at here. Look at here. Here goes somebody else. See, this is the influence. This is his influence. This is his influence. Hold on. This is why he can't sit among.
Jury finds Trump liable for.
He can't sit among respectable men, whether they agree or disagree. Whether they red or blue, black or white. They all agree about Trump. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? That's why I had to put that old simple-minded man out. Yeah, they had clarity about integrity. Yeah. And Trump don't add up. He's a misfit. So yeah, he needed to go on Epstein Island and sit and have a powwow with his best friend.
When you hear about
that he had
children,
move either unalived or moved to another island. Yeah. Let's go here. A man in the badge. Yeah. Yeah. This is why you gotta go. Your influence is poison. That man is poison. Never trust the wide hips in an open mind. Yeah, let's go.
Boys, well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got real
what?
When he was arrested, he said, I'm ICE boys. Well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got reappropriated.
He ICE? He ICE? I mean, so is he ice baby, too cold, vanilla ice baby, too cold, or is he Trump ice? Which ice do you think he is? He was jamming vanilla ice baby, too cold, vanilla ice, or was he ICE arresting people unnecessarily, unlawfully, hiding behind a mask? Yeah, one of them Trump boys, one of them new and improved KKK boys. Which one y'all think he is? Vanilla? Ice? Like, was he jamming? Was his music too loud? He was jamming vanilla ice baby. Or was he ICE? Trump boys. Let's hear this. This is his influence.
When he was arrested, he said, I'm ICE boys. Well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail.
Alexander Back, 41, of Robbinsdale, Minnesota. That's who we're going to talk about today.
Let's go.
You know, it's very strange to me that all of the talk about the pedophile ring and the Hillary Clinton drinking the blood of babies and all of the just absolute wild, crazy conspiracy theories. When the guilty parties were in the party, I mean, the calls coming from inside the House. The guilty party was within the Republican Party the entire time. When you hear about a crime against children, when you hear about sexual trafficking, it's amazing that it invariably ends up being a Republican.
Ain't that crazy?
And it starts at the top.
Start at the top.
Here's a headline from
Big
the
Daddy
that you certainly know about. Jury finds Trump liable for sexual abuse, awards accuser $5 million.
Hey, Ricardo.
He's been adjudicated by a jury of his peers of committing the crime that the Republican Party accuses everyone else of. Not just Donald Trump. Listen, this video could be 3 hours long of me listing just Republicans
he ain't lying
up in the molestation and rape of children. Pastor and Trump advisor.
There go that mega church
for
again.
child sex crimes. Morris is a former spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump and Gateway, one of the nation's largest.
Now, who did I show y'all the other day that BB Netanyahu said he finna convert Christians into that cult, drinking blood, eating kids shit? He gon' push it through who? Mega churches. I think he done already started. What y'all think?
Advisor to President Donald Trump and Gateway, one of the nation's largest mega churches, has been particularly active in Dallas area GOP politics.
South Lake.
Here's another one, more recent. NBC News, pardoned Capitol rioter, I think they mean insurrectionist.
Yes.
Pardoned Capitol insurrectionist tried to bribe child sex victim with promise of January 6th payout, officials say.
A payout?
Johnson, 44, faces multiple charges in Florida, including lewd and lascivious molestation, according to
a payout? What did he get a payout for? So he done promised them a payout? He let them out and he gonna pay them too?
Very strange, because I thought it was really a Democrat problem. I thought it was the Bill Clintons and the Larry Summers and all the other people that Donald Trump likes to try to get us to focus on rather than himself. I've said it before, I'll say it again, it needs to be said, all of those people need to be investigated too. All of them. All of them. If you're named in the Epstein files,
every last one of them.
Here's an investigation. You get an investigation. You get an investigation. You get a conviction. You get to be buried under the jail.
Yeah, they say he got good head.
Every single one of them. Every one of them.
Yeah, he say. Yep, that's what they said. That's what they said. They said, forget Whitney Houston's song talking about you give good love. Oh, give good head. Got a strong hand too. Got a strong grip on that thing. Say he hold that thing saying you ain't going nowhere until I get all of that up out you. I ain't leaving none for nobody for a couple of days. I want it all by myself. Give me all that icing. Give me all that icing. They say he get good. I ain't leaving none for Hillary. Her ass is too fat. She don't need none of this. You belong to me, Bubba. You belong to me. You belong to me, Bubba. You belong to me. I got all you need. Yes, indeed. He got that baby. He what? You start grinding? Oh, Lord, Bill said, ooh. Let me stop. He ain't leaving none. No leftovers here. No leftovers here. Yeah, we need to go back and watch that him and Diddy, the way he was looking at Diddy. Yeah. Yeah, y'all remember Bond said him and Diddy was in there for hours and hours at a time. We don't know what they was in there doing. They went in looking one way and came out looking another. Lord have mercy. Let's finish this.
But here's the latest in a long line. CBS News, ICE employee among 16 men arrested in Bloomington sex trafficking sting, police
16.
say. Again, Alexander Back, 41, of Robbinsdale, Minnesota. Here's a little, just a little bit of a video, and I have a critique of WCCO because they've blurred all the faces, including they cropped the video, blurred all the faces. Bit of a video, and I have a critique of Alexander Back, 41, of Robbinsdale, Minnesota. Here's a little,
how many? There you go. How many?
Sex trafficking sting. Police
16 million.
Again, Alexander Back, 41, of Robbinsdale, Minnesota. Here's a little, just a little bit of a video, and I have a critique of WCCO because they've blurred all the faces, including they cropped the video to where you can't see his face, but it would have been blurred if they did show it. I don't know what they're doing with that. But here is a little information on the case.
Because Trump trying to get him
I'll
off.
show you the unblurred version from my reporting and from the press conference of the sheriff. Booker Hughes, I think is his name. First, WCCO.
Here's how to get high when you're not 22 anymore. Let's be real. The days of sketchy dealers and mystery are over. You have a mortgage now. You actually read ingredient labels. You on plants
Brother
that
said,
are
I ain't had
somehow still
nothing.
alive. So when
I don't care who he say he is.
Guns, drugs, and some high-profile arrests in an underage sex sting in Bloomington. Police have more than a dozen men into custody, including one who works for ICE. John Kaplan reports on the latest in a series of stings in Bloomington.
The chief called it Operation Creep, and he was ready for the cameras.
Operation
props
Creep.
to the band Radiohead for the idea.
I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo.
Let's go.
What's the song these guys were singing? What the hell am I doing here?
The efforts leading to the arrest of 16 men, one of them working as an auditor for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
When he was arrested, he said, I'm ICE boys. Well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail.
Another, a staffer at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency.
Maybe he'd go to work and figure out how to get that pollution out of his mind, come in here and try to mess with a 17-year-old girl.
Soliciting sex with a minor wasn't the only alleged crime either. Police showing this drone video of a suspect arriving at a hotel. Inside that bag was coke, meth, and 8 firearms. Another suspect told the decoy he was showing up with a gun. The chief sharing this video of the officers tackling him to the floor. The operation, reminiscent of a similar sting several months ago that led to the arrest of ex-state's
coke, meth for a minor.
The bag was coke, meth, and 8 firearms. Another suspect told the decoy he was showing up with a gun. The chief sharing this video of the officers tackling him to the floor. The operation, reminiscent of a similar sting several months ago that led to the arrest of ex-state Senator Justin Eichhorn, who's currently facing federal solicitation charges. The chief promising more crackdowns in the future, but the work is getting more difficult. Interesting.
Very
ICE, who is ostensibly there, I mean, it's the message, it's the propaganda being released by the administration that ICE is here to protect children, to keep Americans safe.
I'm telling you.
And yet here's one of their own.
They are
allegedly, it's alleged, he's innocent until proven
grooming.
Guilty. He has the same
they are luring.
rights.
They are
and the
trafficking
law has the same
them.
obligations as any other criminal defendant in any other case. So he's innocent until proven guilty, but he most certainly was arrested. In fact, watch this from the sheriff there, the chief of police, Booker Hughes in Bloomington, and listen to what he has to say. That when they arrested him, when he was arrested, he says, "I'm ICE, boys," as though that's going to be his get out of jail free card.
Next, this one shames. This is a tragedy in many respects, but people at the Department of Homeland Security, I know there are great people there that come to work every single day and do their jobs and do it admirably. Unfortunately, Mr. recently married back here is not one of those people. He works for ICE, and he is an auditor for them, a civilian employee. When he was arrested, he said, "I'm ICE boys." Well, you know, unfortunately for him, we locked him up, put him in our jail. He got reappropriated to our jail, and my understanding is he help send people to send federal authorities, I think he's going to see some federal authorities because I think the feds are going to take this case. So I'm going to close on this and I'll take questions.
Do not let this case go federal. Please, for the love of all that justice portends to provide, do not let this go into a jurisdiction in which Donald Trump could provide another pardon to these ghouls, to these criminals, to these vile, disgusting predators of children. Because if you think Donald Trump wouldn't do it, look back at his past. Look at the people he's pardoned and the crimes for which they've been set free. Records erased in many cases. Because a presidential pardon does just that. It erases the conviction. It's not clemency. It's not graciousness and mercy. It's a complete erasure that there was even a conviction. This needs to stay in state court. This federal employee, this protector of children, is out there doing the same thing that Robert Morris did. Allegedly.
The life hack I wish I knew sooner. I have spent my entire life buying really expensive cologne, and some of them just weren't it. Now I use micro perfumes. They give you the ability to get a literally under $10. The best part, this thing literally fits in my pocket, so it just comes everywhere with me. Look, literally $10.99 for this bottle right here. So don't waste your money and try it before you buy it. Click the link below and shop micro perfumes today.
Doing the same thing that this Andrew Paul Johnson allegedly did. Robert Morris, he's been adjudicated. The mega pastor, the Trump spiritual advisor, it's been adjudicated. Donald Trump, jury finds Trump liable for sexual abuse. It's been adjudicated. We don't have to say allegedly. Anyway, I would love your feedback on this. I would love your opinion on this. This is why going forward, resistance and organization and getting involved in campaigns going into the midterms are so important. We need to flip the script here, get Democrats back in control so actual governance can take place, actual investigations can take place without fear of them being stymied. Now look, from a federal level, until the Republican Party is gone, we're going to be in this boat. But we need as many decent and good people in government as we can to delay the damage being done and maybe stop it altogether. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video, wherever you're watching.
We think it's awful. We think it's God awful. And we know that there will have to be Democrats in the next election, because if not, they will try to dismiss it and look over it and let it slide. There's a great possibility of that.
Yeah. Even younger than they were. But
this freak here, it's like, was you kind of slutty? You know, why? Let me bring her over here. What we got? Hold on. Yeah, I just double checked, y'all. We have an outage. I can't stand my service where I'm at. But hold on. I thought I read. This heifer here, she said they wasn't. Let's hear this. She done got some heat. I'm not gonna be on here long. I need to go on and end this. Let's hear this heifer here.
for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely.
They say she got dragged for comment saying Epstein was into barely legal. Barely. What's that? What is barely?
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to
Girl, you
a
are
passerby.
crazy as hell.
For the record, 15-year-old girls are not legal. They're ninth graders mostly, still kids, which is why Megyn Kelly is getting dragged right now for that comment.
Dragged.
Teenagers and former child
I hope on her
calling her out on
face.
social media, showing pictures of themselves as
15 years old. As minors.
15-year-olds to remind her and other folks what a 15-year-old looks like. It's that attention to girls, in this case the survivors of Epstein, that Jennifer Weiner argues is getting buried in the news cycle. Writing in the New York Times, though we've heard endless details about the predators, the men in their social circle, we have heard far too little and about and from the victims. Joining us now, host of the Tara Palmieri Show and author of the Red Letter Substack.
Who says stuff like that?
The writer we just name-checked and producer, Jennifer Weiner. Ladies, thank you very much. Jennifer, you had a really interesting op-ed in the New York Times, and you write about, and you name the girls, the women who were girls at the time, who survived Jeffrey Epstein: Courtney Wild, Rachel Benavides, Michelle Licata, Maria Farmer, Annie Farmer, Liz Stein, Jess Michaels, Marina Lacerda, Danielle Bensky, Anuska DeGiorgio, Shauna Rivera. You say these are their names, and then you talk about the way that they're described, specifically by Jeffrey Epstein and to his companions. They didn't even get names in the correspondence. They just got descriptions.
They didn't even get names. They got flattened into categories. When these emails dropped, I was like everybody else. I was glued to social media. I was going through them. And I thought I'd be seeing just redaction after redaction because I knew they were going to cross the names out. And I was surprised at how few of them I was seeing. And then it finally hit me, like, he's not naming them. Like, he is treating these women like they are amenities, like they're the hot washcloth you get on an airplane, like they're hearty favors to be handed out among his friends for whom he wanted to do something, you know, something nice, or who he wanted to have dirt on. And it just really struck me that, you know, in 2025, we're still trying to make the case that women are indeed people. And to Epstein and his circle, they were not. And that's really, really clear when you read these emails.
You talk about some of the descriptions, or the flattening out: Hawaiian Tropic Girl, or my 20-year-old girlfriend that after 2 years I gave to Donald, girls in bikinis, or simply just the girls. And you also talk about how Virginia Roberts Giuffre talked about how Epstein would talk about women. He would say that he liked to tell friends that women were merely a life support system for vagina, which is colorful and
And just when you think this story can't get any worse, any grosser, any more disheartening, you read a line like that, and then you just have to like put the book down and step away. I mean, it's wrenching. It's awful. And I have a teenage daughter, much like Megyn Kelly, and I just can't understand how any woman could be trying to square this circle or make any kind of excuse or advance the argument that somehow like a barely legal 15-year-old is different than a child.
But a 15-year-old's not even barely legal. Barely legal is 18. That's barely legal.
Exactly.
15 is not legal.
Right.
I mean, up to 19 is still a teen.
I guess could pass for barely legal. I mean, it's just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
What is the deal with that, Tara? Is this flattening out of the victims that we're seeing by some folks out there? Is this an attempt to I guess, diminish the story now, or just get it away from Don? What's going on there? What motivates conversations like this?
Well, if you want to say it's a hoax, the only way to say that is there are no victims, right? And that what they're saying is not true, or they're liars, or they deserved it. And so if you want to support President Trump, then you have to not acknowledge that there was a crime. For so long, they haven't been heard. Alex Acosta admitted to the House Oversight Committee that he did not read victim testimonies. I mean, that's evidence. That is a lot of evidence that was gathered, and it took a long time for Maria Villafana, the lead prosecutor, to get these young girls to open up, because Jeffrey Epstein told them that they
didn't even read it,
and that they were the ones that were being investigated when the FBI showed up at their doorsteps, not him. And he even offered them their lawyers. They believed it. And then you have Kash Patel also admitting he's read victim statements, their depositions, as if they are not evidence, as if their accounts are not real or matter. So this is something they have been struggling with for a very long time. And Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, the way she talked about them to her friends, I interviewed one of her friends for one of my podcasts, Power the way she Maxwell, talked about them to her friends, I interviewed one of her, that Ghislaine would say they are nothing, they are trash.
Oh, wow.
Talk about them behind their back. They're tissues. They can be thrown away. Those are her words. And that's how she saw these girls.
Oh,
they
wow.
The only value they had.
And then she gets moved to a
for Jeff Epstein
cupcake,
so that he would love her and pay for her lavish lifestyle, or value
I think it's
her.
interesting.
He would never really love her.
That the president hasn't met with these women. A lot of them say they support him. You know, there was one the other day said that she voted for him, that she's disappointed with him now. Why hasn't the president met with them? Why wouldn't he?
Well, I mean, I think that if he were,
Tara, go ahead.
If he were to meet with them, I mean, it would be sort of giving them the mantle of legitimacy, right? You know, inviting them to the White House like they're a football team that won.
He don't want to face them because one of them may be his victims.
And it's interesting because, you know, for a while, Trump was the one pushing for the release of this when they thought it was going to take down Bill Clinton or, you know, insert name of powerful Democrat here. And then it turned out Trump's name all over this, and they tried to sort of turn it into a non-issue, tell people to stop talking about it, act like it didn't matter.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
The victims aren't important. So I think that if you're Trump, if you're scared, you're doing everything you can to delegitimize.
He should be scared.
Epstein, the case, in any way you can. And it's so interesting because we know Donald Trump, and he attacks. He deflects. He says he's the victim. They're coming after him. Never shows weakness. Just, you know, punch. This is the first time that I can remember this kind of significant reversal where he's like, okay, we'll go public, we'll release these, and God only knows what we're going to get, you know, or what they've done, what Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have been up to. But, you know, Trump can't legitimize any of this. He can't act like these women are real people. He can't act like their pain is real pain.
I'm surprised by that, though, because you'd think, you know, if he really did want to lead the charge and take up the responsibility and be the one that does get this legislation passed, as he's claimed, the one that always wanted these files released, even though Democratic administrations never did it. I mean, he would think that he would need to legitimize these women, and that if he really was not worried about being named or being shamed in these documents.
He thought his name was redacted because he was a cooperating witness.
And I think for a lot of this, it's like if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it's acting like a sex offender who maybe has something to hide or knows people who have things to hide. I mean, what I can say is that, you know, everything I've read in these emails, this is consistent. We know how Donald Trump talks about women, how he talks to women. This is a man who bought a teenage beauty pageant and bragged to Howard Stern about like wandering around backstage, and they couldn't tell him no because he was the owner and he had a right to be there.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a story that gets forgotten.
like this. Oh yeah, I mean, this is, you know, he's been hiding in plain sight, and now I think it's going to be very, very hard for him to sort of walk all of this back. All of the women who've accused him, all of the young women who've accused him, you know, and the videos of him and Epstein and the photographs of the two of them, the complimentary things Trump said about him over the years. It said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, some of them on the very young side. I mean, you know, this is not surprising if you've been paying attention. And I just don't know if Trump's going to try to brazen his way through it, if he's going to start a war to distract us. I don't know what he'll do, but he can't be seen to minimize these women. He can't acknowledge their pain as real.
Jennifer Weiner, thanks so much. Tara, I'm sorry for squeezing you, but we're fresh out of time. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. Tara Palmieri, Jennifer Weiner.
Okay. I'll be back in 11:30 with Candace. What you put? Watch some YouTube. Fixes the subject of presidential first, then the opposite view, then the truth. Okay, Theodore. Okay, yeah, I'll be back at 11:30 with Candace.